Welcome to the fourth 6 weeks curriculum previews for third grade. I hope you had a great holiday and are ready to get going on the last part of the year. So let's get started. Our reading expectations for Unit 4, when we're looking at independent reading levels, where we want the kids to be at satisfactory is at text level O. Strong is text level P. If you still have those that are in text level N, then those are the ones that we really, and below, really need some intervention and some, just make sure you're reading with them every day. Once again, you see in your unit overview, I hope you have that with you at the very page, the very end, it says by the end of the 6 weeks, it gives us what we really want kids to be. So they need to be reading independently for greater than 20 minutes at a time. 30 minutes of independent reading and self-selected text at the student's independent instructional text level. That's when they go off to read in reading workshop. We need to make sure that their book boxes they've got their right level in them. And then they need 30 minutes of guided reading with you in those where you can make the biggest difference. The other reading expectations is about writing brief summaries that paraphrase and connect the main ideas in a text to the central message. So we're really thinking about summary to this 6 weeks. And of course, we want them reading independently with comprehension and fluency. We also want them using that reader's notebook or the reading responses, and when they are individually reading, they need to have some type of reading response. Our tic-tac-toe that we introduced to you this summer is a great way to do that. And be using the reader's notebook to record their learning, to set goals for themselves. I might even say to you that a reading log where they see what kind of books they're reading might be a good thing. And we really want them writing in cursive at least 50% of the time, maintaining that accurate letter formation, all of those things that we do to really practice the handwriting. So let's look at our word study. We're going to be changing the final Y to I, using common syllabication patterns, looking at vowel digraphs and diphthongs, and decoding words, applying knowledge of common spelling patterns like the E-I-G-H and O-U-G-H-T. Once again, your 3.4B reading vocabulary. Your conventions, we're going to be looking at adjectives, then we're looking at articles, and then possessive pronouns. And spelling, that making sure they secure those high frequency words, and then common syllable constructions. They're expected to spell multisyllabic words that include that vowel consonant, silent E, and then spell single syllable homophones. So let's take a look at what your focus lessons might look like. So looking at the English word study, remember you find this in the Norma Jackson resources. Week 19 and 20 you're going to spend in a SNAP sight words. These are your core sight words for the 4-6 weeks. We need to make sure that they know these. And you can tell that these are some of the words that you see in their writing that they don't spell correctly. So let's secure those. Week 21-22, vowel, consonant, vowel words with vowel, consonant, E pattern in the second syllable. So you'll be looking at your English word study to get your ideas about what to do with them during that week. Week 23 and 24 is those homophones and frequently misused words. And I would say to you that when they get to 4th grade and we have the writing tests, these are some of the things that we see in their writing that they're not securing. So take some time to help them understand what they are and securing those with them. Your grammar alert. This is found in your your Norma Jackson resources. Your grammar alert is adjectives, and we give you in this how limiting adjectives are used to make the noun clear. When you look at your standard, it says to be able to use and understand adjectives. It's not so much that they can say what an adjective is. They need to be able to use them and know how it changes language. Same thing with possessive pronouns. They function as pronouns, or they may serve as a limiting adjectives when they are used before nouns. So spend some time at really securing them, and then making sure securing them in their writing. Once again, here's your academic vocabulary for the Unit 4. Very important to make sure that the kids understand that the academic academic vocabulary of all the sort, like the word conclude. They're going to see that word so many times in different types of applications. So that's really important that they know those type of words. So let's see what are some of the word studies. You remember that's 5 to 10 minutes of real quick looking at changing the final Y to I, and then valdichos and diphthongs. I would say look at your clarifiers for that, and do some word sorts and games. You're going to find some things on there on your clarifiers to help you. Continue with vocabulary to take them for your mentor text. Identify and study in depth at least 10 to 12 vocabulary words. I love how that after you read reading a mentor text, choose 1 or 2 words that can be added to the vocabulary. Discuss the meaning. Give students an index card for them to write the words, definition, and sentence, and shows the meaning. They can draw a picture. They can put them in their reading notebook. See, here's words I know. Here's words I need to know. Some, just clever ways for them to do that. You also can have a ring where every time you introduce a word, you give them that index card, have them draw a picture, and then just frequently say, go look at your vocabulary words and use them in a sentence or use them in your writing. So here's reading. Our lead standard for this 6 weeks is a summarization. They are expected to write a brief summary that paraphrases and connects the main ideas to the central message. And there is no better way for them to understand summary by reading and writing their own summaries. So that's the concentration, and that's what we're looking for this 6 weeks. Once again, we want to look at fluency. We want them independently reading, and then media literacy. We want them to understand how communication changes when moving from one genre of media to the other. In poetry, you're going to be looking at how you summarize, like in poetry. We want them to write, reading a wide range of poetry and explain how the poet uses imagery to convey the speaker's emotion. You're going to see that a lot on STAR. In fiction, they're expected to describe and explain how the writer uses the interaction of characters to an important idea. In expository text, they are expected to draw conclusions from facts presented in text and support those assertions with the text evidence. And in procedure text, they're expected to locate and use specific information and graphic features of text. So those are your standards, your reading standards for the 6 weeks. So what way some of your reading focus lessons look like? Summarization. Stop and jotting to teach summarization. That is, just a very easy thing to teach them, is to take a sticky note, and then after you get through a section, stop and jot. Write a quick summary. And of course, you're going to show them how to do that. So in summarization and informational text, we want to teach them how to use their subheadings. And then in narrative text, we want to teach them how to use their plot structure. The plot summary think sheet that's in the curriculum is an amazing way to teach them how to write a summary. You'd have to that would be a focus lesson, and then you would have them work together to do that using the gradual release of responsibility. During independent reading time, after you taught summarization, you might give them something like this, like summarization of reading response. Just having them to reflect on their reading as they do. So they could either take a Post-it note, they could put this in their writing journal, but following through in that independent reading time to use summarization. Another way for a focus lesson is in your comprehension toolkit. Lesson 22 and 23, and then lesson 22 is read, think, and react, and then lesson 23 is think beyond the text. That one is a really great one to show them how to write a summary. So in that this is the note-taking sheet that they use in that lesson, how to take my notes, and then what was my thinking on that. So during independent reading time, you might use this particular graphic organizer for them. In treasures, there are many units that talk about summarization. So in every unit, there are stories that you could hit with summarization. So you would use your treasures resource for that. In summarization, expected to describe the interaction of characters, including the relationships and the changes. In the Linda Hoyt Grade 2 and 3 Read Aloud that you can find in your library, there's a comprehension lesson on summarization with Hansel and Gretel on page 77. That's a great one. In poetry, teaching them how to summarize with poetry. I've given you this great link. It shows you a poem for the day. so you don't have to go look. And then also the poetry Friday anthology is great. Grammar and text. Your nouns and your possessive nouns, find them in the stories that you're reading and show the kids, how authors use those type of things in their writing to, to show and being more specific. With point of view, Linda Hoyt has an interactive read aloud, The True Story of the Three Pigs. It's told from, that's a great, this is a great resource for you to use. So that would be a great thing for you to do. Now let's take a look at guided reading. I hope that you are using your Jan Richardson book and looking at the pages for the transitional and the fluent readers, and then using these lesson guides to help you plan those guided reading lessons so that that is one of the components of guided reading, is that once you've selected those books, that you have a plan that when they sit down there that day one, and you show down the gist of the book, what the new vocabulary is, and then you pick one of these things to teach that day according to what the group needs, and then you write your discussion prompt. Now, as they read, that could change, but having that plan is so very important. And then the word study down here is extremely important. So if you need those lesson plans, this is the link to get those from. The other resource that will help you so much in your guided reading is the Continuum for Literacy Learning. So when you're looking at what does a text level O, what does a text level P look like, in the Continuum there are tabs, and under the red guided reading tab, you're going to find Readers at Level N. There's a whole 2 pages on how do you select text for those Level N kids. And then there's selecting the goals for them, because in a Level N there are certain characteristics of those texts, but then selecting goals, and then there is a little section on what type of word work should be happening at a Level N that's going to move those kids. Same way with Level O, and I've given you the page numbers. It's just it's a very rich resource for you because it shows you the behaviors that you're supposed to notice while they're reading. So that's a great tool to use during guided reading. Once again, I hope you're using your your level libraries. I was in a school the other day where teachers were doing an amazing job at teaching guided reading, and they were using the guided reading books that we have purchased for the district, the benchmark books. They are so rich and they're full of rigor. They have great comprehension questions at the back, so that's a great tool for you. I want you to use those, put those in their individual book boxes, then return them later on. But let's use those books and put these books in the kids' hands. Your Reading A to Z is another way for you to get great level books. You can actually search by standard, and you will see books that will really help you with that. And then during independent time, that part of that independent reading time, RAS kids, because that is their instructional level where they're at, using that to get those minutes in. So those are some great ways to use during reading workshop. So let's take a look at writing. We want kids writing. They're writing narrative, and your lead standard is they're expected to select words intentional to fit the purpose and to convey an appropriate tone for the writing task, including a personal narrative writing and writing to explain a personal opinion about a familiar topic. So you're going to be having the MOY this year, so in this 6 weeks. So making sure that every day you take the kids through that writing process. So let's take a look at some of the focus lessons. If you're looking at your unit overview, it says to review the qualities of expository and personal narrative, and then it gives you some ideas about how to do that. You want to monitor their freeze time using the 3-box plan. And those of you that have come to the writing support, we've shown you use power paragraphs. I would suggest to you that if you don't know how to use paragraphs in your writing instruction, you can go to the 4th grade, 6 weeks, and take a look at some of the videos there that the teachers from a 4th grade group are doing with kids. And then, once again, to think about pronouns, use paragraphs from narrative and informational text to examine when and how writers use pronouns. Because remember, it's how to use and understand those things. Making sure that they're doing stop pair routine as a revising tool. My word list is their dictionary. If you've not started that, you need to. So putting those homophones in there, making sure that they're spelling those in a snap sight words, that's great. Another thing with writing is letter writing, and you're reviewing the conventions of the letter, the date, salutation, and the closing, and use language in the letter that's tailored to the audience and purpose. For instance, if you're going to write a thank you note, what would be in that? So some of the things that in social studies you're learning about the difference of people that have made a difference in the world. You can write a thank you letter to a person that has made a difference in the world. So if you're talking about somebody in maybe the government that you want to do, or thinking about those people as you go through your social studies, you might want to send them a thank you note. That'd be a great opportunity for our kids to understand how important it is to be involved in our government. So that's a great way with writing. But I really do hope that if you're not coming to the writing support, that you will come on January the 26th, because it's a great instructional time. During the writing workshop, this is really one of the main key things as they go off to write, that you are conferencing with kids. You're going to be making notes. You can either take a clipboard and walk around the room. I want you looking at what are the kids doing, noticing what they're doing in their writing. Are they doing the things that you're asking them to do? Are they using those pronouns? Are they using the adjectives correctly? Are they using freeze time? Are they developing paragraphs that are great? And then set aside 3 to 5 minutes of every writing session to check for target skills. So right before you bring them back to Wrote for Sure time, you'll say, boys and girls, I want you to take over and let's use the stop procedure, and let's do P. Let's proofread right now. Proofread and make sure you got all those in a snap words. Make sure you got capitals for I. Make sure you got periods or the correct punctuation. Going through that stop procedure with them. That will actually really help them secure those skills. And then if you see groups of kids that really are struggling with one skill, then you might bring them over and conference about what you see. Or if you're having a kid that's really struggling, you might want to conference with that student at that time. So that independent writing, you're conferencing with kids, and just kind of like the small guided reading groups. You are really looking at what are they doing. And once again, we always using the technology that is available to you. This is one that we saw last year with StoryKit. You can click on this link and show how a kid did a story. It's very important that we show them that writing can be done in lots of different forms, and your digital learning specialists are so great with teaching you how to do that. So I encourage you to use them and with that. I hope this has been helpful to you. I pray that you will just do great this new year, and that you will be blessed. If we can help you, make sure you're using your academic coaches or call me. I'd be more than happy to come out. Have a good 4 to 6 weeks.